Hey, thank God another billionaire is deciding to tell us how we should run our country and that we can't have health care. Boy, if there's nothing. So here's the guy. It's Howard Schultz is his name.
I think, you got it right.
He's the CEO of Starbucks. And we've talked about this gentleman before. I didn't even really have to go back and write new jokes. Here he is announcing on 60 Minutes his run for the presidency. You ready for this?
I am seriously thinking of running for president. I will run as a centrist independent outside of the two-party system.
Something there's absolutely no need for. You know what we need? Another centrist independent, because we just haven't found enough centrists in the two-party system.
Not only was the message boring, but his tone could not. He sounded like he was giving LSAT directions.
Yes, he did.
I will run as a centrist independent.
Is that supposed to excite the base?
Fill out the Scantron
What base?
sheet.
Right?
I don't even know what who his base is. His base is people who are cool with billionaires telling you can't have health care. Let's see.
We're living at a most fragile time. Not only the fact that this president is not qualified to be the president, but the fact that both parties are consistently not doing what's necessary on behalf of the American people and are.
So now you would think what he thinks we should do on behalf of the American people is to make sure everybody has health care, everybody, not 30 million people left out like their current system, that everybody has education, college, nobody left out, everybody has a living wage, and everybody has affordable housing, because that's what governments are supposed to do. If a government can't guarantee you that stuff, what's the point of a government? So that's why, you think that's what he means. That's not what he means. He doesn't mean that stuff. He means actually taking that stuff away from you. I'm not kidding. Let's listen to more.
Engaged every single day in revenge politics.
Why run as an independent? Your views have always aligned with the Democratic Party.
Are you just laughing at the way he put his head back?
Yeah, he's just goofy.
Why run as an independent?
It's like I'm trying to give CPR to this interview. This is really
right.
But he's giving you the Tucker Carlson, the concerned look. He's giving you the. I guess we all do that anyway.
It's true. I've been a lifelong Democrat. I look at both parties. We see extremes on both sides.
You know, the extreme on the left that wants extreme things like the healthcare system the rest of the Western world has. You know, extreme things like a living wage, that kind of extreme things. Extreme things like, I don't know, addressing climate change, maybe having a functioning banking system. You know, those kind of extreme things. Maybe college for all so you don't end up in mountains of debt. You know, those kind of extreme. That's extreme. Is that what you mean by extreme?
those extreme views that are considered centrist by most of the world.
Yes. If you were actually a centrist, you would be cool with those things because those are centrist ideas. Most of the country's on board for those ideas. Ending the wars, maybe that, I don't know.
Well, we are sitting today with approximately $21.5 trillion of debt.
There you go. There's his big baby. Mr. Billionaire sees the biggest problem in the country isn't that 30 million people in the richest country in the world don't have health care. Not that 80% of workers live paycheck to paycheck. Not that 50% of all wage earners earn $30,000 less. That's not the big problem. The big problem isn't 45 or whatever thousand people a year die because of lack of health care, or hundreds of thousands who go into bankruptcy, or the fact that we're bankrupting our treasury, doing $715 billion a year on bombs nobody needs. That's not the big problem. The big problem for him is that we have a deficit. The banks got to get their money. We got to get that money to the banks. That's what this is. What you're worried about the deficit? We print our own money. Nobody ever worried about the deficit when we ramped up the Pentagon budget $200 billion since the height of the Iraq War. You know, at the height of the Iraq War, we're spending $500 billion on our military, which was still like 13 times more than the rest of the world. Now we're spending over $700 billion a year. That's a 40% increase since the height of the Iraq War. He doesn't say we got to cut that in half. We got to go back to the height of the Iraq War numbers, and we got to take that $200 billion and we could. You know what we could do with that $200 billion? Literally, you could end homelessness in America for $20 billion. For $20 billion, end it. Let's say it's 30. Let's say we're off. Let's say it's 30 billion. You could still do that and have $170 billion left over. But his big problem, not that you don't have stuff or that people are treading water or that the richest country in the world has a failing economic system because everybody is treading water. No, that's not it. The biggest problem is we got to make sure we pay off the debt. This is not again, go ahead, run on that. I say run on that. radical centrist. Go run on that. Go be a grown-up. Go be a grown-up and run on that. Do you want to have anything to say?
I just imagine him selling the idea of Starbucks like in this whole like monotone fashion.
Yeah.
Like, people want to have their morning coffee. They also love dessert. I envision coffee-themed milkshakes on every corner.
Which is a reckless example, not only of Republicans, but of Democrats as well, as a reckless failure of their constitutional responsibility.
Do you worry that you're going to siphon?
It is funny. It is funny the way he said. Do you worry about you're going to siphon votes away from whoever is going against? I mean, too much democracy is bad, right?
He looks like someone that's trying to stay awake during a long drive.
Yeah.
Like, if I position my head this way, I can make it to that next exit.
He's getting ready. He's got an audition to the William F. Buckley story.
Yeah, that's great.
Votes away from the Democrats and thereby ensure that President Trump has a second term?
I want to see the American people win. I want to see America win. I don't care if you're Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Republican. Bring me your ideas, and I will be an independent person who will embrace those ideas because I am not.
Okay, my idea is Medicare for all, living wage, break up the banks, and win the wars, ban on fracking. What is yours? Those are my ideas. Are you going to embrace them? You're not going to embrace a goddamn one of those.
Well, he did ask for an idea. I mean, at least he's implying that he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
Like, bring me your ideas. I got none. Bring me your ideas. Coffee-themed milkshake made me millions. I got no more ideas. That was my big one.
I have an idea. How about grande healthcare? Maybe that's the kind of talk that he's able to understand.
Per tutti.
What was that?
Grande healthcare per tutti.
What's per tutti?
For everyone.
Oh, look at that. It's a little Italian. I did watch Italian. Anyway.
Anyway, in bed with a party.
So he won't be anyway in bed with the party. That's why you're supposed to like him. Here he says this. Here's what he. Okay, so his big problem is the deficit. Boy, that gets people out to vote, doesn't it? The big problem last time why Hillary lost to Trump was because they didn't inspire their base and nobody came out. People who came out and voted for Barack Obama twice didn't come out. So, or voted for Trump. So that's the big problem. And making the deficit the focus of your campaign, I think, shows an out of touchness that only a billionaire can muster.
Yeah, I think we'd be pressed to find the focus group that said, people really want an independent centrist who's concerned about the debt on the ballot. That's what they said would really get them out of bed to vote.
They really want the government to keep spending it all on oil subsidies, prison construction, and wars, but nothing for them. That's what they said. I'm pretty sure that's what they said.
Also, isn't it weird that he led with how President Trump has no prior experience?
Yeah, what is yours? What is your experience? That's a great point, Steph. Yeah, yep. Here we go. Here's what he says about healthcare. Here we go.
Healthcare.
Every American.
It is funny.
What is going on?
It is funny the way let's watch it again. Let's watch.
Healthcare.
Healthcare.
That is a GIF waiting to be made.
Every American.
Healthcare.
Every American.
I can't believe I didn't save this for the live show.
You can do it both.
Should I? I think I'll do it.
Yeah,
again.
you can do both.
All the jokes, we're doing them now.
We want universal health care.
Yeah. Okay, let's watch again. Here we go.
Healthcare.
Every American deserves the right to have access to quality health care.
Deserves the right to have access to. You're putting too many words in there. Deserves the right to have access to a benefit that covers
For a privilege to see through a window
if they're 55 and older.
in the scope.
But so listen to this, jackass. Listen to what he said. Everybody deserves access to health care. What did he say?
The right.
The right to access to health
Oh,
care.
thank God.
But not
we
health
got
care.
the right.
Not health care. Not everybody deserves health care. I guess there's
But
some
of the right.
I would like when he says something like that. I would ask Mr. Longneck to ask him who doesn't deserve health care.
And then go like this, Jimmy.
Who would you leave out? Who would you leave out of that? So here's what he says.
But what the Democrats are proposing is something that is as false as the wall.
What he means Medicare for all. I guess he means what Bernie is proposing, Medicare for all, is as false as the wall. Again, if a billionaire telling you can't have stuff doesn't get you off your ass out to the polls, I don't know what would make you vote more than a billionaire telling you can't have the shit that everybody else in the Western world has. And he has for sure. It's as false as the wall. Medicare for all is not false as the wall. This idea that we can't pull this off is ridiculous.
It's weird.
This is a billionaire. This is a billionaire telling you can't have health care. That's what he's saying.
It's weird. We can't have free health care, but we can have free endless war.
Yes. It's not free.
I'm sorry, can I do that again? Free endless war.
Free health care for all, in which the country cannot afford.
The 28.
Why? Why can't we afford it? Where are your numbers for? He doesn't push back on any of that.
Well, he's given up on this interview, man. He's phoning it in. He doesn't even ask a question. He just lists a topic. He's like, tax cut, go.
Right?
Tax cut, go. I gotta.
So why wouldn't you push back on that? Why would you just let him spew that stuff? Scott Pelley, you don't know Medicare for all actually costs less than the current. We can't afford it. How are we going to pay for less expensive health care? How are we going to pay for that? That's what he's saying.
The ironic thing is the interviewer looks like he could really use a coffee.
Yeah. And what he really wants to do is cut health. He wants to cut Medicare and Social Security. That's his real deal. Look what Rob Reiner says. Nader gave us Bush in 2000. Gore won by over 500,000. Would have had 15 to 20 year jump on global warming. If it wasn't for that goddamn democracy.
Wow.
Fucking democracy. People get to run. Oh, anybody could run for president. And by the way, it wasn't Nader, you idiot.
Why isn't he pissed
I like how
off
he
at
acknowledges
Reagan?
the real problem.
Why isn't he pissed off at Reagan, who took the solar panels off of the White House? Right? Like, remember Carter put solar panels on the White House to make the country move forward with energy.
Where does he highlight the real problem, Ron?
Well, he says the real problem. He says that Gore won by more votes. Gore had more votes.
And
Clinton had more votes.
And so did Clinton. The real problem is you have this antiquated system called the Electoral College that's there to make sure white slave owners kept power.
And he acknowledges that in the tweet. Like, he says it in the tweet. They got more votes, still lost. And yet he blames Nader and Stein anyway.
Still blames them anyway.
He calls out the actual problem.
Maybe he doesn't understand math.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And then he still does that Jill Stein, still does the punching left. Again,
it's in his own tweet what the real problem is.
Wow. And then he says, curb your ego, don't run. Don't you think it's a little bit of an egomaniac to tell who can fucking run for president and who can't? Isn't that a bit of a fucking egomaniac to tell people who can participate in democracy and who can't? Especially when you don't fucking want for nothing, Rob Reiner. You don't want for health care or send your kids to college or fucking anything or housing or transportation or you have clean water. Nobody's putting an oil plant in your backyard. Nobody's putting an incinerator in your neighborhood. You don't have any problems. And this is the kind of tweet you get from someone who has no problems. Keep voting for neoliberals because nothing affects me. Meathead from the 70s would fucking eat you alive right now for this tweet. This shows you that you're an out-of-touch millionaire neoliberal. Your heart is in the right place. You're out of touch. You have no idea what's going on in politics. Talk about a fucking ego. Shut up. You got a big fucking ego. Tell other people that they can participate. Did Rob Reiner say I can participate in democracy? Is it okay? Imagine if, Rob, instead, you and all your fucking millionaire Hollywood friends used all your energy that you waste doing stupid shit like this, voter shaming and punching left and telling people they can't participate in democracy. Imagine if you used all that energy to actually focus it on the Democratic Party, the people who's actually responsible for not having a viable candidate that couldn't beat a fucking political novice game show host. Maybe if you put your energy on that. For every stupid fucking tweet like this, you do voter shaming. Maybe you do a tweet that holds the Democratic Party's feet to the fire for, I don't know, still taking fossil fuel money. Or how about still having super delegates? Or how about for cheating Bernie Sanders? How about for having an undemocratic process? How about that? No, this is it. This is it because dude, you've been a millionaire for 40 years. You're out of touch. You know gay people are okay. And you know abortion should be a right for women. But you have no idea what's actually happening in the world. None. And this proves it. Am I right about it? I don't mean to go overboard, but I'm getting so fucking sick and tired of Rob Reiner's out-of-touchness. Jesus F. But it's not him. He's just a symbol. It's not just him. It's the whole Hollywood. It's the whole liberal class. I'm not a liberal. I'm an actual progressive. I'm not a fucking liberal. I can't vote for warmongering corporatists who prop up the banks. I can't, but he can. And he thinks that's actually an alternative. It's fucking not. For the 30 million people who don't have health care, they're not an alternative.
You know what? I'll simplify the terms of what we were just talking about. For every voter shaming tweet, how about that person sends out 2 tweets calling out their electoral college for what it is and why it needs to go away?
How about that?
That's fair.
How about that?
I'll take that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But
I love Rob Reiner. I love Rob Reiner. I fucking love him. I love that Rob Reiner. For my whole life, I've loved him up until now. And he's because he's out of touch and he doesn't know it. And again, that's not a sin. It happens. If you get too much money for too long, you get out of touch. It's not your fault. But Jesus F. Do you ever talk to a poor person? Do you ever talk to somebody who doesn't have health care? You think they're okay? You think there was a reason why fucking Nader ran? Do you really think you're a better American than Ralph Nader? I'm sorry, Steph. I cut you off.
Oh, my point was really he has to come out and continue to say shit
God
about Ralph Nader.
No
it's
shit.
2019 already.
20
you don't
fucking
think there's
years
a
later.
shitstorm way after that election and the consequences of President Bush's, I can't even believe that he's not even acknowledging.
What about John Kerry?
Yes.
Al Gore didn't run. I mean, Ralph Nader didn't run against John Kerry. John Kerry still lost to George Bush. That doesn't tell you anything wrong with the Democratic Party. There's your 18-year head start on global warming. What are you talking about? Democrats couldn't beat George Bush twice. And then they couldn't beat fucking Donald Trump. Ugh. Hey, Hugh Hewitt, just to show you what a genius Hugh Hewitt is. Salenzino agrees with me that Howard Schultz has a real chance and a real path. These people couldn't be dumber. They're dumber than me. That's how I know how dumb they are. That's why I do this show. Because if these fucking guys get to do shows, I get to do fucking shows. Because they're dumber than me. We're announcing our live dates for 2019. We're going to Chicago and Portland, Seattle, New York, all over the country. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all our tickets to all our shows. It'll be right underneath there, too. Please become a patron if you like our content and help support the show. You can become a patron for $5 a month, and we give you hours of bonus material. And make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I'm not kidding. Make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so they give you a notice when we drop a video. It's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. Thanks for your support.